Hi everybody, my name's Andy, and this is my windshield survey. So for my windshield survey, I chose to use two cities in San Diego, or two neighborhoods in San Diego, La Jolla and City Heights. La Jolla is my upper end community, and it borders Del Mar to the south, the Pacific Ocean to the east, west to the Five, and north of Pacific Beach. In City Heights is a much smaller geographical area, and it is what's considered east, central east San Diego, east of North Park, and west of what's considered the College area, south of the Normal Heights and Mission Valley area. Overall appearance. So, as far as the physical environment is concerned, La Jolla is very well kept, well manicured. You'll find beautiful landscapes, and in City Heights, one thing to notice up to about the two areas is that actually both of the cities have fairly older homes. Even La Jolla, it's just that La Jolla has does a lot of maintenance and upkeep on their older generation housings. I'd say probably the biggest difference between City Heights and La Jolla is the security. So as you can see in the pictures, La Jolla is very open and accessible. Where in City Heights, everything is going to be gated, barred, or have fencing around it. I did not see one place that did not have a fence, gating, or bars. And I'd say probably one of the most glaring differences too is trash. So in La Jolla, the streets are clean, well kept, whereas in City Heights, there's pretty much significant amount of trash everywhere you go. Some of it's actually pretty alarming, like whole bags of trash that were just dumped on the side of the street. Another thing to notice also is that you would think that this road maintenance would be better in La Jolla. It's actually the opposite. So I noticed I rode around on a scooter to do my windshield survey. And City Heights had well paved streets that looked just brand new. La Jolla streets were horrible. They were filled with potholes, uneven, different colored, obviously not well kept at all. Housing, so you notice in the pictures that a lot of family homes, large family homes, are in the La Jolla area. In City Heights, we have very small family homes and or many, many, many apartment buildings. My demographics. The total population in La Jolla is 46,781. In City Heights, you have 69,813. And remember, City Heights is a significantly smaller geographic area than La Jolla, so you're fitting way more people into a much smaller. Median age in La Jolla is 43.3. Median age in City Heights is 29.6. And a big education difference, 98.4%, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, say that they graduated high school in La Jolla, whereas only 66% say that they did in City Heights. Probably the biggest thing and the most important thing for this presentation is the median household income. So in La Jolla, it's 102,000, whereas in City Heights, it's about 38,000. You have about 10.3% below the poverty line in La Jolla and about 28% below the poverty line in City Heights. As far as race and ethnic differences, in La Jolla, you have 76.3% of the population being identifying as white, 1.2 is Black or African American, 16.1 is Asian, and 8.6 is Hispanic. I'd say City Heights is much more racially diverse, with the 31.6% white, 14.3% Black or African American, 18.2% Asian, and 54% Hispanic. All this data was collected from the U.S. Census Bureau. Common areas. So one thing I'd say that's pretty fair is the amount of parks. So I'd say City Heights and La Jolla had a pretty equal amount of parks and recreation buildings. Again, it came to upkeep, overall attractiveness, and location. So much of La Jolla's parks and recreation is set with an ocean view, open, well manicured, lots of trees and grass. Whereas in City Heights, you can see again those fences and not as well upkept. And again, trash was a very big thing. You can also just tell by the lawns the difference in the keep to the right to the left. And another thing to notice too is that this picture on La Jolla is very small in comparison. That recreation center actually took up 3 city blocks, whereas that's the whole size of the building of City Heights' recreation building. So very, very different as far as how large they are. So services, transportation, schools, and protective services. So in La Jolla, the in La Jolla, they have 5 public schools. Now that's elementary, middle, and high school public schools. We have 11 private schools with a lot of San Diego's transporting their kids to go to from other areas, transport their kids to. In City Heights, we have 12 public elementary schools, 3 public middle schools, and 2 public high schools. And only 2 private elementary schools with no options for private middle or high school. You have 2 charter schools in City Heights, and charter school can be for advanced academic performance, but also it can be for students who are struggling in traditional academic settings and who are also behavioral issues can go to charter schools as well. Transportation, now this is where City Heights does it better than La Jolla. For actually a lot of things. But there's only one bus line that services all of La Jolla. It's the 30, where there are numerous bus lines that service the City Heights area. Something that's pretty shocking to me that I had to think about, maybe it's size again, a geographic size, but there are 3 police stations and fire stations that service La Jolla, but only 1 police station and fire station that service City Heights. So that was really interesting to me. It took me a minute to think about why that would be, and maybe that's it, or maybe, I don't know. Here I went ahead and posted some pictures of the education in both places. So to the left, you have a private school on the top in La Jolla and the La Jolla Public High School. You'll see too that actually the La Jolla Public High School is pretty old and it's probably in need of a remodel, but open. And to the right, you have a public elementary school and a public middle school in City Heights. Again, lots of walls, lots of gates, lots of fences, lots of bars, and not a lot of trees or greenery at all there. Religion. So I noticed that predominantly I saw a lot of Christian churches throughout both neighborhoods. And actually there were some very ornate and beautiful churches in City Heights, as well as very ornate and beautiful churches in La Jolla. The one difference I noticed in City Heights is much more culturally diverse. So a lot of even the Christian churches had different Asian dialects written on the walls to welcome those people. Different Hispanic phrases written on the wall. So things were written in different languages so that they would welcome all the cultures to their churches. And I found one temple down there on the bottom right and believe that's a Malaysian or a Cambodian temple. So pretty interesting. The only non-Christian religious location that I found. Industry. So stores. I don't know if you know, but there's a row of shops in La Jolla nicknamed the Rodeo Drive of San Diego. Now, the shops there are known for being extraordinarily high end. So you can find things like Maserati, Lamborghini, Cartier, Lucky, Ralph Lauren, Banana Republic, and those are just a few. There are some there that I won't even bother saying because I don't even know what they are, and they're only exclusive for that La Jolla strip. Really interesting. A ton of money. City Heights. City Heights has a ton of amazing discount stores. So you can find discount stores for anything and a ton of ethnic diverse grocery and clothing options. So there's a lot of Mexican, Hispanic groceries and clothing stores, as well as African and different Asian countries as well represent themselves with their own grocery stores and a lot of different clothing options as well. And a famous thing for City Heights is all the corner liquor stores. So there's a ton of amazing corner liquor stores all throughout City Heights. Now, food. La Jolla has numerous high-end options, 5-star restaurants and such, formal, fancy sit-down, all sorts of that kind of stuff. But also, I'd say La Jolla does a pretty good job of providing more affordable price places as well. You can find all your San Diego staples, like a great Chinese restaurant, a great taco shop, actually 4 or 5 great taco shops in La Jolla. As well as some quicker diner options too that are very affordable. So they didn't try to blow it out of the water with the food. City Heights, oh man, amazing restaurants if you want to try all the different cultures. So there are probably hundreds of Asian, African, and Mexican restaurants there that really service all the different types of people that live in that area. It's really great. There are also a ton of fast food chains in City Heights. So I think there's only a Jack in the Box in La Jolla, actually. Whereas in La Jolla, you'd only find a Jack in the Box. In City Heights, you can find every fast food restaurant there. Health clinics and access. So in La Jolla, have the world-renowned UCSD and Scripps and numerous clinics. In City Heights, actually the closest full hospitals are in Hillcrest area, and it's a UCSD satellite hospital. There are other hospitals around the Hillcrest area as well, and lots of clinics. And I noticed a lot of the low-income clinics or the free clinics, a ton of those in City Heights. Almost everywhere you drive, you can see clinics. Health concerns. Now, I grabbed these from Healthy People 2020. Some health concerns that I came up with for La Jolla were mental health, anxiety, depression, substance abuse, obesity, and older adult concerns. City Heights, I'd say nutrition and weight status, as well as cardiovascular issues, physical health, and homelessness. I'd say that I pick these a lot based on the population and just the concerns, whereas I would be more concerned about obesity in La Jolla. Because of overindulgence, maybe I would be more concerned about nutritional status in City Heights and obesity because of lack of healthy, nutritious food. So during my stakeholders, I interviewed in La Jolla Dorothy R. She's been a property owner in La Jolla for 40 years and has been living full-time for 10 years. She states that age-related health issues are of the most concern, with the median age being fairly high. I thought it was appropriate for her to assume that many people in there are in their advanced years. She said things like cancer and dementia are at the forefront of her mind, and she states feeling like she has access to wonderful health care in La Jolla. However, health insurance for a good health plan is almost unaffordable. So even though she is elderly as well, and she qualifies for government-funded insurance, a lot of people who can afford it purchase what's called gap insurance, and it covers the parts that the government doesn't cover, and that can be astronomical. Um, My key stakeholder for La Jolla is an FNP from a local clinic, and she stated while her community is really good at local routine checkups and preventive service, that actually they suffer a lot from mental health and drug and alcohol abuse. She clarifies this to talk about prescription drug abuse and how it's becoming a huge problem, and it actually affects all ages there in La Jolla. And although she's a primary care provider, drug education, treatment, and youth prevention is a passion of hers that she advocates for in her free time. She says that early intervention and adequate education is key to combating the prescription drug problem that La Jolla is facing. And lastly, my population stakeholder in City Heights is Juan S. He has lived in City Heights his whole life. He felt that obesity and diabetes are the biggest concerns for his. And he states that a huge problem is cultural and traditional foods that play a part in weight issues. He says that are even people, he's Hispanic, and he says that there are even people in his culture that think a little overweight is good for him, and that actually having a normal BMI or healthy weight, they consider you skinny and will become worried and think that that's unhealthy. So he states that he feels that education classes on nutrition and exercise would be an excellent contribution to the community. He actually had a friend from his same block that became a personal trainer, but would go back later on and do free community workout classes and nutrition classes for the community that they grew up in. And he stated he felt that that was so effective because the people are more open to that because that's somebody from their neighborhood, somebody who they know looks like them, talks like them, comes from the same culture or same background, and that it held a lot more weight with the people. He said it was actually a really popular class. For my key stakeholder in City Heights, I chose a nurse who services the City Heights population, and she made some points about cultural diversity playing a big role as far as barriers to service. She went on to explain that due to the fact that there's a large immigrant population from Asia and Africa, as well as Mexico, that they can view healthcare differently, and it can have an impact on whether or not they access the services available to them. She even went on to further that by saying that due to English being a second language and not even knowing that there are free services or community services or low price services available to them, that the immigrant population really can't access these things because they don't even know that it's there. So that was her big point, is that just playing a more culturally sensitive and culturally inclusive role as far as healthcare is concerned would be most beneficial for the population in City Heights. These are my references. Thank you so much, and I hope everybody has a wonderful day.